Call to order the Mount Vernon School Board meeting for Thursday, October 16th. It's 5:31. And as we have started, we will start our meeting tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we could all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good luck with that. Okay. Our second item tonight is to affirm the agenda. We need to vote. I ask this every time. Do we need to vote on that? Or just everybody's good with the agenda for tonight's meeting? And do we have anybody remote right now, Brian?
There's one attendee currently. It's Corinne Adams or Corinne Adams.
Okay, all right. Next up, we have our public comment number 1 of 2 that will be. The procedure for public comment is as follows. If you wish to speak during the public comment session, in-person guests will be allowed to speak first. Once we go through all the in-person guests, we may open it up for virtual speakers on Zoom. In order to speak, please do the following. Raise your virtual hand, enter your full name in your avatar profile. When speaking, turn your camera on and say your full name and your town of residence. And when these are complete, you will also have 3 minutes to speak. So I will open it up to any of our in-person attendees tonight. We have a almost overflow crowd of 5 people. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate it. We don't even have snacks or candy. Yeah, people, that's cool.
It was Bob's night.
We all set and we're in person. Does our person online have their hand raised, Brian? No? No, thank you. Next up is our draft number 1 budget presentation. For that, I'll go to Mr. Berry first, and then I think he'll probably slide it over to Ms. Facey.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So, thanks for having us tonight. Thanks for everyone being here. With me tonight to present, draft 1 of the budget. In MV is, a number of SAU personnel. And you'll hear me say this in the next 3 minutes a bunch. This is draft 1. It's very early on in the process. There's been some analysis and some information gathering, but we, as I've said at the other board meetings, we are very much in draft 1 of this. It is a long, fluid process to get to, we're presenting to voters in March. So I want everyone to kind of keep that in mind. I say pretty often, if I add, I find it pretty challenging to be in August and September, developing a budget that you're going to use for next August and September. And so we're doing our very best. Appreciate all the effort out of Mr. Lecklager and his team up here to get themselves organized and ready. And I appreciate the effort of Ms. Facey and the other SAU directors to make sure that we are as prepared as possible. But also with us tonight, we have Danae, taking notes from with. We have a couple our tech people. Victor Ferrado is going to be. He's one of the tech people that are going to be supporting us at board meetings. And this is, Brian's been to a couple, but what we want to do is make sure that we don't have any glitches. We don't have any, there's nothing worse than me, Bob, and Amy looking at each other going, I need a lifeline, right? Like, I don't know where to go with this. So we want these to be smooth and, efficient. So, but Brian's here working, make sure Victor's trained up. So that's why you see a number of SAU people here tonight. And I just wanted to clarify that and welcome everyone tonight. So as you can see with our budgets, crazy, highly regulated, lots of things that go into it. Federal law, state law, local, there's collective bargaining agreements, there's policies, and then there's just life happening around that, where we are currently with the economic situation in, Mount Vernon, New Hampshire, New England, and the United States. And we're just making sure that we are being as fiscally responsible as we can, as we, support and fund and provide resources to the, education in MV. So please keep those things in mind. Another thing that we talk often about, and you hear me say this, and I've been saying it since I arrived in 2020 and at Sauhegan and as superintendent, we're not static. It's very fluid. And so we have initiatives and we have the framework and we have the pillars, but you see us evolving this to make sure we're meeting the needs of our students, of our staff, and like any other industry, it changes. And so we want to make sure that we are changing appropriately, changing intentionally, evolving to make sure we're assisting in the learning of, that happens here, to make sure our students are provided the education that they needed and that they're allowed to essentially move on to the next part of their journey equipped to go. And so we take that very seriously. It's a time-consuming process. And I just want people to know we're in here to collaborate with the school, with the board, with the community, to make sure that we're all in agreement that we're taking the right steps. But our mission is to engage, challenge, and support all our students. We're committed to this. We work towards transforming every school, including MV, into a reliable vehicle where continuous learning improves. And those who've been around me for the last few years, I think what happens is if you create a school where people are trying to get better at their craft on behalf of kids, and you're focusing on your instructional improvement and your instructional strategies, and you're valuing that in your budgets, that's what creates the outcomes and the experiences that we need. There's a lot of things we have to do in public schools, as I mentioned, but that's what it comes down to, and our budgets will reflect that. And it's supported by our work around the framework. I really appreciate the work that has been done by all the schools in SU 39, but we're here in MV tonight, and you can see the goals of the school, the goals of the school board, aligned to the pillars. What makes me happy is as superintendent and in conversations with Bob and Liz Cannon and Tom, the teachers can find their way within the pillars, and you see them referencing that as they teach, and as we kind of as they go through their staff meetings. And with our pillars, it's student learning, ELA and math, is the core of that, but it's all academic stuff. We care very much about the whole student. This school does it as well as anybody, all sorts of activities to make sure kids feel safe, feel welcome, are excited to come to school. But that costs a little money too, right? So those things, we put a value on that. And then developing our teachers, providing the curriculum and anchor resources for our teachers, supporting their development, helping them grow as professionals, helping them earn degrees. That's where we are with that. And then our partnerships with third party, people from community members to different, agencies that support our work. And then of course, when stewardship of resources, Amy and I talk quite a bit about what we do here to make sure we are, maximizing, what we have available to us and doing it responsibly. But I guess I spend so much time on the pillars because I want people to know it's the North Star. It's reflected in our budgets. And so I appreciate that opportunity to share that tidbit. And then you see the goals here that Tom and his staff developed. They're aligned to the framework, heavy literacy, heavy math. The last couple of years, you've seen really strong achievement outcomes. And, Tom and I talk often about, all right, you've achieved in some areas, right? 80% is our benchmark, but that's not where we stay. We reevaluate and determine where we want to be. I'm very pleased with what's happening here. And then, I said this at to Clark Wilkins over in Amherst. The third goal, I joke, like you make things to-do lists, and sometimes you add something to your things to-do list that you already did, and you can cross off. Like when Tom keeps putting positive school climate and culture, I'm like, I know you're working towards it. But when you walk in here, you can't help but feel it. they're well on their way, but I also know kindergarten, right, excuse me, first grade, kindergarten, second grade. Sometimes it's people's first kind of soiree into public education. So that's always on our mind to do that. And as a former high school principal, I'm reminded of the elementary people, like we're constantly gonna have that as a goal, even though we do it well. And we're gonna do it intentionally. And so really pleased. And with that said, I'll turn it over to Ms. Facey. And you can get into what everyone's waiting for.
Yes, thank you. So, yeah, so we'll start the FY 27 draft one, budget review. So the operating budget is a 5.4% increase, or $372,312 over the FY 26 adopted budget. The FY 27 default calculation is 3.8% more, or $260,318 more than the FY 26 operating budget, and the difference between the FY 27 default and the FY 27 proposed budget is 1.6%, or $111,994. And as we go through the slides, I'll get into more explanations of those particular differences in the different budget calculations. So as a reminder, this calculation excludes the special warrant articles passed in FY 26 to give a true apples to apples comparison between the current year budget and the proposed operating budget. So our budget assumptions and drivers, we recently received the rate changes for health insurance and dental insurance from our risk pool provider, Health Trust. This year, Health Trust is again not providing a guaranteed maximum rate at budget time, but the actual rates are being provided now in October. They were provided by plan and are a 12.5% increase for the Access Blue 5 plan, which is our HMO, a 15.9% increase for the Site of Service HRA plan, and an 11.6% increase in the Luminos, which is an HSA plan, and a 4.4% increase in dental. No small increases there, unfortunately. The New Hampshire retirement system rates are set for 2 years. So this is the second year of that rate setting. So we're status quo at 19.23% for teachers and 12.75% for non-teachers. There were a few personnel changes, including the reduction of a paraprofessional based on student need, an increase in the part-time technology support staff from 0.5 to 0.75, also based on the needs of the district. So for enrollment, based on the most recent NESDEC projection, NESDEC is the organization that provides enrollment projections to our school districts as well as most in the state of New Hampshire. These were completed this past spring and showed an expected increase over the coming years. I do want to say we will receive an updated projection this fall and will reflect changes in future budget drafts. I do also want to note that the actual versus projected enrollment from NESDEC was lower this year, primarily due to a smaller than projected kindergarten class. I'm not going to dive too much into this slide because I do expect those fall 2025 projections to be adjusted, and we'll update, and hopefully we have that information available in time for draft 2. So for certified staffing, there are no changes currently proposed on the certified staffing for this year. For next year, we're staying with the current model of 2 teachers per grade and no other changes for certified staffing levels. For non-certified staffing, as noted, there is a reduction of a paraprofessional based on student need. I did add the notation to the FY 26 column as actual. For those of you who were here at budget time last year, you may recall for FY 26, there were actually 4 paraprofessionals budgeted. However, due to changing circumstances, there was a need to add 2 additional paraprofessionals to the actual budget, but there was a reduced need for out-of-district special education funds. So the difference in paraprofessionals from the FY 26 voted budget to the FY 27 budget is going from 4 to 5. But the difference from the FY 26 actual budget to the FY 27 budget is going from 6 to 5. But the cost for those additional paraprofessionals this year was able to be absorbed by the budgeted funds for the out-of-district accounts. Happy to answer questions later if that was confusing. Budget by category. So the budget is broken down into 7 categories to provide a more manageable way to analyze the changes from year to year. Most of these categories are affected by the increases in health and dental benefit increases, as well as changes in insurance elections by staff members. So of that total that I mentioned, the $372,312 increase from FY 26 to 27, over 216,000 of that is due to health and dental insurance increases. And over 117,000 is for wages and benefits for both the MBEA staff members and non-union staff. So that accounts for about 330,000 of that 372. Transportation, you can go back. I'm going to be on this one for a bit. So the biggest percent change in the budget this year is in transportation, which is primarily due to 2 factors. There is a special education bus monitor that's new to the budget this year, as well as the projected cost for the new home to school bus contract we will be entering into next year. A recommendation for the selected home to school bus provider will be presented at the upcoming SAU board later this month. The budgeted amounts included represent the amount provided by the company who the administration will be recommending to the full SAU board on October 30th. Food service, this increase is due primarily to a change in health insurance election, as well as the rate increase and a projected increase in food costs. The goal is to have the food service budget fully offset by revenue. However, based on history, the budgeted transfer from the general fund, which is used to offset that shortfall, was increased this year as well. Student services, this increase is also directly related to changes in health insurance elections and the increased rates. Absent those health and dental insurance costs, the student services budget is actually down by about $2,500. For technology, this budget is up primarily due to the additional hours for the tech support position. Absent this increase, the rest of this budget is actually down by about $7,000. For administration, again, the primary reason is health and dental, election changes and the increased rate, as well as wage increases for non-union administrative staff. A few smaller increases include some special ed legal costs and a small increase in administrative software. For facilities, this is a pretty small increase, but this budget includes utilities, maintenance costs, repairs, and preventive maintenance. For curriculum, this is really, you'll see the majority of the salary and benefits. This is most of the staff who reside in this category. For this year, again, the increase is primarily due to the health and dental, as well as wages for the MVEA staff. These increases are partially offset by reduction in the tuition to the Amherst School District, primarily based on the projected number of Mont Vernon 7th and 8th grade students for FY 27. So the default calculation shows how the default is calculated. The default is the amount of the operating budget from the previous year, which is actually the current year, FY 26, reduced and increased by debt service, contracts, and other obligations previously incurred or mandated by law, and reduced by one-time expenditures contained in the operating budget, and by salaries and benefits of positions that have been eliminated in the proposed budget. So that's the technical definition. So to calculate the default, you take the FY 26 warrant articles and remove them from the FY 26 total appropriation. And then increase or decrease adjustments are applied. So the contractual salaries and benefits amount for regular ed is due mostly to those health and dental increases. For non-union staff is that, or for union staff is that as a contractual obligation. The SAU apportionment increase is to be determined while we wait for what's called the average daily membership calculation from the Department of Education from the state. I do expect to have this calculated for draft 2, and this will show an increase that is required as an assessment from the SAU budget. The tuition to the Amherst School District is decreased based on enrollment projections for those FY 27 7th and 8th grade students. Food service costs are up a small amount, primarily for a projected increase in the cost of food. And as discussed, student service costs are due primarily to the health insurance costs, and special education transportation is up for the that bus monitor. So the total change from the FY 26 adopted budget to the FY 27 default calculation is 3.8%, or $260,318. So this next slide, we call this the proposed items at risk. So this is the difference between the FY 27 default and the FY 27 budget. And these are deemed to be at risk of not having funds available because they are not obligated to be paid according to the default calculation definition. So this includes the salary and benefit costs for non-union staff, the projected increase in the home to school bus contract. So even though we will have to pay that, it is not included in the default. So if the budget were to fail, we would have to find funds to pay for that contract. Facilities cost increases for repairs and maintenance, utilities and equipment. Some administrative software increases and projected legal costs, and a small increase in the food service transfer from the general fund should there be a shortfall in food service. These are partially offset by some savings in curriculum, in part because we were able to fund the furniture replacement project using last year's unassigned fund balance. So you could see a direct benefit of that decision made by the board on this year's budget, as well as a small decrease in the technology budget based on projected device replacement needs and costs. So that's an example of how we use zero-based budgeting and don't just roll over costs from one year to the next. We actually look and base our budget on our needs. So the total amount at risk is $111,994. So who doesn't love a pie chart? This provides a visual representation of the composition of the budget, and as expected, and this is the same year to year, most of the budget is comprised of salaries and benefits and tuition to the Amherst School District for 7th and 8th grade students. So next I'll do a brief facilities review. So this slide shows our long-term facilities funding plan. This was started many years ago. It has worked very well for the Mont Vernon School District. This is a living document, and we're always working to update both projects and the associated funding plan. As an example, the fire alarm system upgrade project was originally planned for FY 29. But because the system was deemed not stable, we moved this project up and it was completed this past summer. So this grid shows the projects and proposed funding plan through FY 32. The next projects include a number of smaller items planned, the tree removal and door replacements, as well as larger projects, including boiler and pump replacements, the water system upgrade, and HVAC work as well. So next I'll do a summary of the reserve funds. So there are currently 6 reserve funds that are established for the Mont Vernon School District. This chart shows the balance of these funds and the proposed contribution, as well as the source of funding. So the balance of the property maintenance fund is about $200,000, and a contribution for $50,000 is recommended to support that capital needs plan that we just discussed on the prior slide. The recommended contribution to the Special Education Trust this year is $25,000. The student services budget continues to be budgeted as tightly as possible. And the recommendation is to add to this fund to ensure there are sufficient funds in the event of unanticipated expenses. The technology fund was created a few years ago in accordance with that 3-year plan. The recommendation is $15,000. The post-employment benefit fund was created last year to cover unanticipated or larger than budgeted costs for retirement payouts. The balance goal for this fund is $50,000, as retirement payouts and associated benefits can vary widely. And so we're recommending to add to this fund an additional $15,000. The health insurance fund that was created 3 years ago was for an event that the budget could not absorb unanticipated health and dental insurance election changes. The intent was to fund this in an amount sufficient to cover the cost of a family plan for an employee. So I'm pleased to say we have reached that goal. So we are not recommending a contribution to that fund this year. We are also not recommending a contribution to the tuition contingency fund. We'll continue to keep an eye on enrollment and potentially could recommend this in the future. So all of these warrant articles are being recommended to be funded from the unassigned fund balance. So in summary, this shows the proposed warrant articles at this time, including the budget and the 4 special warrant articles for FY27. And this also shows the changes in those warrant articles from FY26 to 27. And then finally, the budget review process and next steps are included here. So far, the Mont Vernon Budget Committee has met and organized. There are 3 members. I see a few tonight. Eric Willis and Larry Breckenridge are returning. And Kate Willis is a new member. And the rest of the schedule is provided here for your review. The budget file is complete. There is the same question submission form, and I will open that up for questions to be submitted tomorrow. And I know there's some new folks, so happy to sit down with anyone who's new and go through the budget file, the question submission form, and the process. So I'm happy to have a one-on-one meeting with anyone that might need some assistance with that. Any questions? For now?
Thank you, Ms. Stacy. Great job. A lot of work already. A lot more work to be done, obviously. I'll ask my fellow board members any quick questions or comments or anything for Amy right now. I know she, a lot to unpack, a lot of numbers, a lot of percentages, a lot, so. And then I will open it up to our in-person community members if any questions of what was just presented. Keep in mind to Mr. Berry's comment that it is draft 1, and we'll have multiple conversations and work sessions and conversations to get to the final, but it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
One thought I had as I was you were presenting is, given that the insurance piece is such a big nut of the increase, do we want to somehow have a column to the right that shows what percentage or what the dollar figure is and what the percentage of the total is for each of the categories?
Yeah, absolutely. We can
I think-
definitely do that.
I think you highlighted on one of the slides how big the chunk was that came from a couple of different things.
Mhm.
Might as well just be a slide,
I can
Yeah.
absolutely do that. Yeah,
because it really shows that we're only playing with like 30 grand or
I
something.
know.
Kind
Yeah,
of tiny here.
I think I did that last year where I had, wages and benefits and health insurance and then everything else. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I can
I-
absolutely do that for draft 2.
It feels like there's only like a couple of small open questions on this at all, like we got a lot of our big things saved, set last couple of years. Yeah.
Yes,
So I think helps tell the story, so
Yeah.
thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And I do want to thank the budget committee. I see, are you Kate? I'm Kate, yeah. 2 members, so, So it's great to have a full committee again this year to review the work and do that important analysis. So appreciate it.
I'm just thinking, apologize for the delay, the pause button.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Amy?
Sure.
The transportation
Yep.
increase,
Yep.
you said, did you say that that's mostly due to the addition of the special needs bus monitor?
There's two additions to that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of them. And the other is our bus contract is expiring this year. So we're
Expires.
entering into a new bus contract next
Okay.
year. So on October 30th, you'll be, the entire SAU board, since they serve all of the districts, will be presented with a recommendation.
Okay,
We did receive 4 bids for that, which I was very pleased. So you'll have a full memo on all the costs and all of that, so.
Okay.
to review.
thank you.
Our current contract's pretty favorable, correct?
Yeah, what happens by the end of the contract, like we're in year 5, there was almost no change from 4 to 5. So now that it's expiring, it's pretty much expected that it's gonna be an increase.
29%.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
ugly number.
so,
but
I know,
Kind of knew that was coming.
we did,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we'll take the 4, bids
Mhm.
as a win. When
Yes.
last time we only had 1. And
Yep.
so a lot of work by Miss Facey behind the scenes to ensure that we had options.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna work in finalizing that in the next couple of weeks and bring that to the SAU.
Yep, yep.
So so more to come on that, and we'll see where we ultimately land.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Some clarification on the question submission form,
Yeah,
is that open for the general public as well?
it is.
Okay.
So it'll open up tomorrow. If I have time tonight, I'll do it, but definitely by tomorrow, it'll open up and be available for anyone who wants to submit a question. And it will go directly to my email, and then what I'll do is, if it's a question for me, I'll answer it directly right in the budget file, or I'll assign it out to another SEU or to Principal Licklider to answer.
So, and I got one last question.
No problem.
Is on the NASDAQ projections, I guess I'm
Yeah.
being confused.
Yeah.
So we go from 21 to 45?
Well, that was what I was saying, that the actuals are the actuals. So that is, as of October 1, the projections are based on last spring, before they knew the actuals for this year. So I expect the updated projections this fall to change.
So you
which is
think
why
that
I didn't
45 is
go-
gonna come down a little bit?
I do, which is why I didn't go into a lot of detail,
Okay,
so, because it's.
okay. They're usually pretty good.
Yeah, it was a little unusual this year, this very small kindergarten class. So I think it was projected to be like 34 and it was 21, so that's a big change.
I've never seen a difference, that high percentage difference. I think the difference is actually 21 and 37, because
Oh.
of 21 will next year be first graders,
Okay, yeah,
and the FY 27 fall is projected 37. Nonetheless, it's a big
Yeah.
difference. It's a
Right.
big difference.
And
yeah, so I think the fall projection will make more sense.
Be more-
So this
yeah.
one doesn't really make sense.
Yep.
But,
Hmm.
I don't have the fall, so the only numbers I have are the spring, so. It doesn't really line up with the
And-
actuals.
right now, we talk about it often amongst assistant superintendents and principals. It's a bit volatile in public education. There's a lot of options for families, charter schools, home schools, EFA, public schools, and, private kindergartens. So there's just a number of things. So it's becoming harder and harder to predict what families want to do. And also, there's an increasing trend that I think about and talk about. People tend to now hold some students back before they enter kindergarten, so they're a year older, particularly boys. And so that's been growing in popularity. So you had 6 or 7 different reasons or options. Kindergarten is not as easy to predict. And so just keep those things in mind, and we're working towards that, and I know NESDEC is aware of that, and when they, put out their predictions, and we'll just adapt and be flexible as we roll with it, and try to be as accurate as possible. So,
We could have a contest to see who's could get closest to the real number.
I think next summer's
With
gonna,
a small
next year's
prize.
gonna be closer. I think it's gonna be a bigger group too, quite a bit bigger.
Hmm.
I mean, projection's 45, even if that's off by 5, that's still a pretty good group.
Yeah.
For next fall.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everyone for the conversation. Next up on our agenda is administrative updates, and we'll start off with Mr. Lecklider, our principal. Tom?
Thank you very much and good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to start another year, year 5 for me. My first meeting since students entered. Couldn't be happier. Start of the year. It's been a super smooth couple of months. Hard to believe it was just 2 months ago. It was like 90 out there. We had our ice cream social just about a month and a half ago. So, couple of things tonight. I want to just quick and thank you, Mike teed me up for this. Remind everyone of our goals: literacy, math, positive climate, culture. I'm going to give a few quick updates underneath each of those. I just want to first note, if anyone saw the gnome out in the parking lot, I want to thank the police department for doing that this morning, a little prank. Put a little gnome, the Mont Vernon gnome. Do you guys know about the Mont Vernon gnome? Yeah. So dress it up in MV, put it in my parking spot so that I couldn't park there. Thought he was very funny. The wheels are spinning. We'll figure that out. But yeah, MV gnome is a big deal. So it's coming back at the police department. Just saying. So as far as our goals go, there was a lot of front loading on professional development starting the year this year around math and literacy. Couldn't be happier with the work of our staff, the work of our teachers, the work of our new staff getting up to speed on MVVS in general, but then we have some new assessment platforms, we have some new resources, particularly around literacy, grade 6 math, all around, rolled up sleeves, all hands on deck, really good work. We do our first round of assessment in the fall, universal, we call it universal assessment. All students assess. We want to see where they are in math and literacy particularly. That went really well. It went really well. With some new platforms, some new learning on our staff, couldn't be happier with how that rolled out. We will, as you might know, we will do that again in the winter and in the spring. And if we need more information on specific kids, we do that and then we progress monitor from there. So really happy how that rolled out. On the literacy front, I'm really excited at how this is going so far. We have some resources we've been using. We have melded them in with our new resources and just going through classrooms every day, seeing the level of interest in our kids in the topics, the units, the stories, the writing. A lot of the reading that they're doing leads to writing assignments on a daily basis. Been really happy to see that cycle and those routines set up first 5-6 weeks of the school year. So continuing to build on that, and I'll give you updates as we go, but really happy with the first 6 weeks and we're already in our second units for the most part in literacy, so going really well. On the math front, as you know, Charlene Brown, our math cheerleader here, teachers very deep on understanding, learning around professional development, around math. We're also with that, we've launched our math enrichment. Familiar, one of the things that we do on a weekly basis is a math enrichment with all students, and then with other groups of students. That's going really well. We've launched that back in September, and we're rolling with that now. Mike mentioned positive climate culture. I firmly believe we need to start the year building relationships with kids. Every staff member should make that a focus, because in order to get where we want to go with kids, if they don't trust us and see us as human beings, it's hard to get that needle to move. So the first 4 or 5 weeks of the year, really positive, good vibes. We had our first SOAR assembly, Monty breakdance for the first time. Little backspin it was, if you didn't see the video, it was something to see. Really, good vibe in there. Anna Zock, who you might know as the MV historian, she spoke on respect, showing respect. We do a SOAR assembly each quarter of the year, first one being the S in SOAR, show respect. And she spoke on respect to your community. It was really well received. There's been a great vibe with our community. As you know, Autumn, Gardina, Jess Hinckley are the rec, they're the rec directors right now. Police, fire, PTA, we've had a really good several weeks of activities, events, town events, school events, and I think there's just a good syncing of all those departments working together right now for our kids, which is great. And then we just started a few of our clubs, our co-curricular clubs, flag football and our Falcon Flight Crew. That's a new one. That's a leadership, sort of like a student council, but a leadership group. And tonight I wanted to, this is just a quick segue into two additional co-curriculars. I mentioned flag football. The way we're running flag football, we have so many kids interested. We have about a third of the school doing flag football. Who knew, right? We had our first night yesterday, two nights ago. Melissa, when was it? 2 nights ago?
Wednesday.
2 days,
Yeah,
yeah. Yesterday, we had over 50 kids there. Just a great vibe, a lot of fun. Some kids play football, some kids, it was the first time ever, and Scott Saucier, our PE teacher, is running it with Mackenzie Lawrence. So we've just started it as a sort of an informal thing, but I wanted to bring it tonight as a formal co-curricular. And then also, we're gonna start soon upon board approval, cartooning, art club. And I can give you a quick preview on that. Cartooning Club will give students an opportunity to build their visual storytelling skills through panels and sequencing, emotional intelligence with drawing the face and body language of characters and drawing techniques of 3D forms and figures. I might sign up. So that one also bringing forward tonight to start soon. And those run for roughly 6 weeks each, weekly. So I will ask if I can for board approval on those. And just one quick update on our calendar. We are running our grandparent special friend day, the same as last year, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It was super popular, as you know, huge turnout, expecting a really good crowd again this year. And we have our theme, we're working on songs, we'll be ready to go in about a month, hard to believe, but any questions or?
Nice job. I'll take real quick before we forget to accept and approve the two proposals as presented by Mr. Leckliter. The cartooning and the flag football.
Sure, also. Second.
Motion by Mr. Stokinger, second by Mr. Rogers. All those in favor? Passes 5-0. Just a side note, maybe with the cartooning, that does sound really cool. Maybe a presentation at a future board meeting of what they did. We kind of
Great idea,
don't need the whole gang, but one or two,
that'd be great.
Post them on the wall.
Yeah, I'll bring that forward.
that would be good.
Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Leckliter? Questions? Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Nice job with the fire. I meant to mention Jay and the fire department too for that. Looks like that's always a good event over there, so.
Yeah, so, yeah, and Chief Jay, he, again, coordinated the fire prevention visits last week, went really well, so.
Yeah. Nice job. Next up is our superintendent, Mr. Barry, for a report.
Yeah, couple things, we talked about budget, we talked about transportation. We'll update you on, where we're going with facility work. Right now, we're in the process, as you know, like, determining, the appropriate space needed and if we're going to move towards a 7th and 8th grade, at Mount Vernon, at the village school. And so where we're at with this, Mr. Leckliter and the SAU, but predominantly Mr. Leckliter is working on to develop a prototype daily schedule including, approved educational specs, and by not including a separate gym and cat, seeing if you didn't have that, what would it look like? We're gonna try to bring that to the board next month, along with Kelly Brayley, I believe came up here today to evaluate space needs for athletic facilities. And what we're doing, this is still with the part of the information gathering and providing the board with as much information as possible. So our hope is to have an update, for the building and grounds group and the board next month. And so we're plugging away on that process. And then the last thing I'll say is we do have a conversation around tuition agreement. There is a meeting between the tuition between Amherst and Mount Vernon. There's a meeting next week. And both boards are coming together to discuss that. So more to come on that. And that is it for my superintendent report at this time.
Is that open to the public?
That meeting,
Sorry, just worth asking.
great question.
Any questions or comments for Barry? No. Thank you. You have a quick question for Amy. I think you generated, did you get all your responses on the survey for the accounting firm? Is that something you need each member to fill out and send to you,
Oh,
the questionnaire?
no, so that was just for you to
Oh, it's just for me,
to add stuff about them, but it's okay.
just as is?
It's okay for now. We'll see if they push back, but.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So quick answer is kind of, sort of.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay, thank you. And my other quick comment, while I've made some notes is, if Crystal would like to come to a future board meeting at some point, give us just an update on the food service.
Sure, yeah.
She'd welcome, doesn't have to,
Yeah,
but we'd
Yeah, she's
certainly,
done some good things, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, so
definitely.
I just made a note of that,
Okay.
so down the road.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yep.
On a light agenda night or something like that.
Yeah,
Thank you. Next up is our operational report, the treasurer's report. Any questions? This is from August. Any questions or comments from the board? Next up is our consent agenda, the draft minutes from our September 18 meeting. Again, does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the minutes as presented by Danae? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to accept and approve the minutes for September 18th.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Melissa, second by Andrew. All those in favor of accepting the minutes? Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next up, number 7 on our agenda tonight is policies that have been approved by the SAU board. Just an update that we had a meeting Friday, another policy committee meeting, as we continue to kind of, I'll say, grind through the updates and also the ones that haven't been touched in a while and try to get up to date as best we can. Having said that, I'm gonna pass this over to Mr. Amber. He's also a representative for us on the policy committee, and we actually discussed some of the policies that he was assigned for it. So I'm gonna let him quarterback this and give us an update on what was presented.
Yeah, well, so these are the policies that were approved by the SAU board for the last SAU meeting.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And I think, like policy AB, the New Hampshire Bill of Rights, that's just required by the state, right? So I think that policy just explains that we have to post that. As
The parental bill of rights in various places in handbooks on the website. And it's there and the policy committee went through it and we gotta approve it.
right, so that, it's just a state requirement. And the meeting minutes policy, I think that was just a minor update. It's basically just describing how we're supposed to take meeting minutes, but it hadn't been reviewed since like 94, so. Just a couple of changes to some wording, and the one we're rescinding policy CA. We recommended to rescind it just because it seemed like an unnecessary policy. It basically just describes what does, you know, the administration do, which is kind of already defined.
In other policy.
It's a redundant policy. so
Redundant is
trying
an
to-
optional policy, recommended by the school board, and we're trying to get in the habit at the policy committee to not bring forth optional. So we have to bring required, we discuss recommended, and when they're optional, we take a look at it, and more often than not, we're not gonna bring that forward. And there's many policies throughout the SAU, not as many in Mount Vernon, but when you start looking at all the policies, you know, close to 800 policies between the three districts and the board. And so, when you have a lot of policies, there's lots to miss. So the boards, or excuse me, the policy committee is doing work to make sure that each policy has a distinct purpose. And so on the floor, I think there's a motion to accept A, B, and B, D, G as presented, and then a second motion to approve rescinding CA. So there's two, so.
Did we review other policies at the last meeting as well? They're just not sent to us yet.
I
Like-
don't believe,
We took them back to review.
yeah, there's a policy that got kicked back to policy committee.
Right, okay, I thought
Yeah.
that's the, thought we approved that one. Okay, no, well, it was approved at the SAU meeting, but it was kicked back at the Amherst School Board
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
So it's now under review again in the policy committee, so.
So I will take a motion to accept policy AB. The New Hampshire Parental Bill of Rights, and also policy BEDG regarding meeting minutes.
I will so move.
Second,
Moved by Mr. Stokinger, second by Mr. Amber. All those in favor? Accepted and passed 5-0. I also take a motion to accept the rescinding of policy CA regarding administration goals.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Rogers,
second,
second by Mr. Amber. All those in favor?
And Pete, before we move on, policy committee is probably as time consuming and thankless of a committee that board members serve on. And a lot of credit to making it happen, we have Chelsea Borden, our executive assistant, kind of leads this, and the board members have spent quite a bit of time on their own policies to review and discuss and make recommendations. And it's in probably the worst time of the day. It runs 9 to like 10:30, 9:30 to 11, depending. And my expectation in the last couple of years is to access Assembly to make it more efficient, to review some of the policies, as Leaf just mentioned, that haven't been reviewed in, 10 or 20 years. And they are plugging away. On a lighter note, I know it's Pete's favorite committee to serve on, and he's doing a heck of a job in that group. So, but no, I appreciate the policy committee plugging through, and they're being quite productive overall. And a lot of work goes into that, and so appreciate that.
I made that note.
Yeah, it's not hidden. It's not hidden.
Oh, it's important stuff.
It is.
For my right-minded, I think I would be leading the charge on policy committee.
You have a good style.
Thank you. Next up, our committee updates, and I did talk to Miss Oliver before we kicked the meeting off, and noticed that she is missing from our assignments. So I don't recall when we made all these assignments, but I did talk to Melissa, and she's welcome to stepping in and participating and relieving some other board members from a lot of committees. So like, I'll just say Colin and Andrew, you both have a lot listed, and I know there's not a lot of heavy lifting on some of these committees, so there is more on others. But I guess I would ask for homework between now and our next meeting, that Melissa is agreeable to take a look at the list. and make her interest known on certain committees, so she may be reaching out, and I would just like to shuffle it so the workload is a little more level, especially I think you two guys have a lot on your plate, so.
You were interested in the school district budget committee. How happy then.
And the negotiations began. The other charge I would have, and I'll welcome any updates that you folks may have, but the other charge is I'd like to at some point as a board, meet with the building and grounds committee again. So we can start, to Mr. Barry's point of getting more homework done and getting those results in, and I want to start funneling all this information that we have at our fingertips and access to that we've worked hard to get. So that we can start working on a finalized presentation to the community, and I think we owe it to them sooner than later, of where we are and what we have and what questions maybe we don't have answered, but I would like to somehow, I know everybody's busy, but aside from our regular, maybe we have it before next month's board meeting, and we collectively meet with them, but I think it's important that we start to make a plan and put together a presentation of what we have work, because we've done a lot of work.
I think the next scheduled meeting is the 3rd or 4th. When are we meeting next? That committee. If I remember correctly, I can't make it. The meeting.
Board, you talking about budget committee?
No,
Just our board meeting.
no, it was the next meeting of the facilities committee.
Is that posted somewhere?
Should be.
So if our next board meeting is Thursday, the 13th of November.
All right, it is Tuesday, November 4th. There's an MVBC-2. And I'm not able to make it to that one. Oh, that's the budget.
That's the
committee.
budget
committee.
That's the budget. Okay,
Yep.
so never
So
mind. When's that? Before the next board meeting? No, that's the wrong one.
No, I don't think it's set. I gotta, I'll double check, with Steve Chamberlain.
All right.
We'll double check with Chelsea and Steve and get back to you.
Okay.
I don't think that one is set
That's
yet.
budget committee.
So
Yeah,
I just have that, let's have that on our radars, being able to get together, and if the hour before, or maybe we need a little bit longer, hour and a half before, I know people have work commitments and stuff like that. Fully understand that, but, or if there's another night that works best for everybody involved, but again, we gotta have some connectivity with the
Can
building and
speak
ground.
to at least a part of that as far as timing.
Yep.
It's would probably be advisable to do another day. Cause an hour is stretching my ability as well as the other day's ability.
Earlier?
Yeah,
What's your preference, like 6,
I think we should
6:37?
probably send out an email and get an
Okay,
idea.
we'll work on that. Yeah,
So,
I mean, we want people there.
I mean, ideally, yes, it would be nice to have it all in one night. But, our schedules are. My schedule, I'm a little bit lenient, but I know the other Dave has a board. It's a
Okay,
little bit more difficult.
all right, good push, thanks.
We can work on that.
oh, and to that point, he's my backup for budget committee.
Yeah.
I can't make the next budget committee thing. So.
And the other thing I'll mention, and Amy, as far as the manifest,
Mhm.
is that the signing of the manifest every week
Yes,
as needed? Cause I'm still on it with Andrew,
yes.
and Colin is listed to be with Andrew. I don't mind doing it, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I think because we hadn't gotten Colin trained yet, so.
Okay. So either way,
Yeah.
That's something.
that's
that
an
you
option
wanna-
for you.
Sure.
Okay.
absolutely.
Again, I don't mind
You
doing
wanna
it, cause I just win being.
I have a flexible schedule during the day.
What's that?
I'm flexible during the day, so I can get to the office to.
You don't have to, you can,
It's online.
It's online.
Okay.
So you just need to do a little training and then
Yeah.
you get things, you look at an email box on your phone, you
Yeah,
read, click.
Yeah, so,
Melissa, if you want to do that.
Sure.
Then, probably would be good maybe to come in to the brick and we'll go through our training.
Yeah.
It's pretty quick and just
Oh,
show
yeah,
you
yeah.
what you're doing and explain it, and then we'll get you switched over to be the signer.
Okay.
great. stay the course.
I'm not sure how the minutes are, but for reference, David Cataract, part of the building and grounds. I'm just used to the planning board stating the name and I forget.
Yeah, no, I probably should be more regimented with that, so, thank you, David. Next item for us, board correspondence. I don't believe we have anything, Mr. Barry.
No, not this month.
Nothing in there. Future business, I don't see anything listed. Public comment.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Can we go back to facility communication group? If you want to give a quick update
Yes, please.
on that, that's all right.
I wanted to cover on that.
Sorry, Andrew.
So David and I went down to, before the SAU meeting, we talked with all the other, facilities groups. We had kind of the most to bring to the other groups, because we've done so much, work. But we did hear quite a bit about, Amherst and the Wilkins School, the Wilkins Project, and they held a big thing where they got a lot of parents and to come in to the Wilkins School for something. I don't remember exactly what. I think it was showing off what needed to happen in the Wilkins School.
Yeah, there's been two there, at the time of that meeting, there was a number of open houses where people were there, and then we held a school board meeting there. In Amherst, so a lot of people were into the building, they saw some of the, the difficulties and issues that are happening. And so they were talking a little bit about that. Last night, they had a listening session in Amherst, about 120 people showed up and we did some gathering information, more to come on that. So they're dealing with some of their own things there as it connects to some of the work throughout the SAU.
Yeah, they listened to us talk. They had a whole bunch of questions for us. Did you consider this and that, and the other thing? We've done a lot of work, so we have a lot of answers for what they're bringing up. I think the other thing was the Sauhegan board. They have an issue with their science classrooms in the annex being too small. They don't meet the regulations. So that's their buildings project at the moment. They're looking at like, what can they do to meet state regulations for science classrooms and, it called out some problems where like, there's not enough dedicated science classrooms. So teachers are staging on top of one another, and there's not enough prep time for one particular type of science to set up the room, or another class comes in. So it's kind of giving us more of a view into how there really isn't that extra room at Sauhegan that some people would perceive to be, because there's not true dedicated science classrooms at the moment. So we're looking at how they're gonna solve that. Did I miss anything? Very good, all right. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Next up, public comment, 2 of 2. Do we have any questions or comments from our audience? Live? Ryan and Victor, do we have anybody with their?
Not at the moment.
No? Okay. So that, my friends, is the agenda for tonight, excluding for a non-public session that we have to go into, so. I'll take a motion to adjourn our board meeting,
Or no, just go into non-public.
to go into.
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to enter non-public under RSA 91 A 3(2)(E).
Have a second? Seconded by Colin. All those in favor? Passes 4-0. Again, thank you folks for coming. Good to see everybody.